Hello, hello, beautiful soul. I pray that you are doing well. Welcome to a Thursday edition of me sharing insight and inspiration. And today I'm excited because I will be joined by a friend and a colleague of mine as we have been kind of looking over, taking stock really, looking over 2020 and taking stock of the lessons that we've learned. Normally, we would kind of do this at the end of the year, take stock of the year and look at all the things that we've accomplished or not accomplished. And this time around, it's actually kind of like I want to do this early so that we can start to like pull some little nuggets of meaning and whatever good we can claim from this year because it has been pretty intense for people around the world, obviously. But one of the things that has been kind of like weighing on my mind is as I tune into what people are dealing with after sharing about what my family is dealing with my mom, I got messages back from people who've also lost loved ones during this crazy year of ours, and people who have started to share that the accumulation of all of the kind of trauma and drama of 2020 is causing them to lose hope, feeling like, "Ugh, what am I even doing anymore? Like, what's worth living for if we don't really have that sense of excitement and anticipation?" I don't know if that's been the same in your world. I'd love to know, are you staying positive? Are you looking forward to something good in the future? Or are you just kind of like, can't wait for this year to be over? Because it's really, I don't know, it's something that looking over my mother's life, as I've been sharing, it's actually providing me with even more inspiration. And specifically, kind of that kick in the pants to not waste my potential. Now, I know that brings a lot of it brings a lot of criticism. I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, this idea of living up to your potential, that's a bad thing. But when you read the studies on psychological well being, there are actually 6 factors that comprise like true psychological well being. And one of them is personal growth, which means maybe I never reach my full potential, but I'm always growing and evolving and trying to level up. So when I start to think about this, when I start to think about if I were to die today, would I be dying with some potential that I haven't tapped? That kind of irks me, and I feel like life is for the living, and I need to be living more of my potential. So I have taken stock of this in the last week or so to really level things up. And as I was talking with my friend Delia Sanchez, who's going to join me in just a moment, we were talking about kind of the opportunity that some of us were excited about earlier this year. Like some of us said, oh, if we're going to be on lockdown for a few months, why not use this time to like go within, have this self-care? And many of us were really looking at it as a positive thing. And then there were some people that kind of felt like, okay, I'm tired of this. um, but I still feel like now that we've come through that sort of introspection, isolation time, I still feel like there's a moment or several months left for us to dig deep and start to envision what would I do with my life if I really use this time wisely? Because just because there's a pandemic, just because there are going to be financial ramifications for years to come, doesn't mean that life is over. And rather than giving up, I would like to help you with some inspiration. So I'm happy to hear that some of the people tuning in, Raining Woman, she says, I'm with you as far as the inspiration. I love it. Well, another person who I know is totally with me in terms of this inspiration fest is my friend, Delia Sanchez. Welcome, Delia. How are you?
Hello, it's so good to be here. Hello, everyone. It's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Andrea. This is a big, I guess, a big dream to be here sharing this space with you. Thank you for
Well,
this.
I'm so grateful for you. For those of you who have not yet met Delia, she is a reinvention specialist. She will help you find alignment with your soul career. And we're working together on some new projects, including a series of masterclasses to help you tune in mind, body, and soul so that you can use these last few months of the year to truly architect something magical, like reinvent yourself. And I don't mean that in a fake way, right, Delia? We want people to align with their authentic self, but just level up, right?
Yes, so we actually like to bring up your real version, your essence, or something that you've lost along the way, but it's still there, it's there. So we just need to perhaps reconnect with this and bring that real version of you.
Give me
Yay.
1 second here. I'm trying to say something, Delia. Make sure I can hear you still.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes?
awesome.
Okay, great.
I,
Is everyone okay? Asa is listening okay with me? To
yes, I
me?
just I just kept hearing the little ticks when everyone is leaving us some messages.
Okay.
So wonderful to have Alex here. Thank
Hey,
you for
Alex.
tuning in. And
Nice.
gee,
Amazing.
what's up? Gerald Hennigan in the US. 2020 gives us the forever gift of feeling who we really are, seeing who we really are, and the opportunity to confront and love our true self unconditionally. Yes,
Oh, that's
that is what I
amazing.
think is happening. And I know it's been, for some people, it's actually been a little uncomfortable, like the isolation, um, dealing with family members in close quarters, and also just missing the things that you would normally do. That is bringing a lot of your true self and some of our flaws to the forefront. But we can learn to heal it and love it unconditionally. And ultimately, I do see this as an opportunity to level up. For me, it's stepping up even more into the hero version of me, you know, amplifying some of my superpowers. So when I talk about reinvention, like Delia said, it's about tuning into your essence. So, Delia, I want to talk about some aspect of what reinvention can look like and what holds us back from dreaming. Because I think before someone can say, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to like reinvent myself, I'm going to step up as this higher version of myself, they actually need to believe that it's possible, and kind of give themselves permission to dream. And one of the things that I love about your story, like you've reinvented yourself multiple times in terms of your life, your lifestyle, your career, your relationship. But why don't you just share a little bit with the audience about how life was for you in your country of origin, Paraguay,
Mm-hmm.
when you started
Yes.
to feel that rumbling, you started to have this calling that was going to lead you somewhere else.
Oh yeah, so like you said, this will be just one of my reinvention stories that I will be sharing with you all today. There's a few more, and I guess this was one of the first one. And so, for those of you who don't know me, I am originally from Paraguay, South America. I am a pharmacist, a biochemist, and before telling or before starting with my story, I just want you to know something. Uh, I always had something here in my heart, in my chest, that I couldn't know how to explain, just basically. It was so hard to say or to put in words. What was it? It was a feeling of that I always wanted to go somewhere. I didn't know how, where, when, but that feeling was always there with me.
Like from what age?
This was probably things I know myself, like perhaps teenager years. So if you are listening, you that you are there and listening, and you also had this, put in the chat now, because hey, please, I hope I'm not alone here, because this has been with me forever.
Yeah. Well, you know my story. That was definitely true for me since my teenage years. Like I just had this unrest.
Unrest. I guess that is also another way of saying is, yeah. So keep that in mind, because that is part of my story. All right. So this was 2010. This was the year 2010, and I decided to leave gorgeous and fun Brazil for an amazing job offer back into my home country, Paraguay. So I was excited about it, and I thought that success was finally knocking on my door, you know.
Mm,
And of course, back then I was looking for like a recognition in my career,
yeah.
and this offer sounded as, okay, this is it, let's go, let's move. Okay, so the first 3 months in Paraguay were just a dream. Everything was perfect, everything I was enjoying, life was good, job was good, I was back in my country enjoying the life, everything was great. After that, things started to become a little bit difficult. So I was facing issues at work, with colleagues, with friends, relationships, um, and things only got worse.
Like what do you mean you were facing issues?
Little discussions, misunderstandings, things was just not aligned. I was having difficulties
Hmm.
in basically in every area of my life.
Okay.
Yeah. So work was not as I was expected anymore.
Mm.
So also I was having a lot of discussions and disagreements with colleagues, which was also a difficult thing to have on a daily basis,
Yeah.
right? So, on top of everything, what was I doing with this? I was blaming everyone.
Ah.
You know, it's like it's their fault. It's my boss's fault, my colleagues' fault. It's the system, the politics, the everyone,
Mm.
and complaining a lot,
Okay.
right? So my finger was ready, right? There, and never here,
And
never.
did you have anyone close to you that was kind of like, Delia, maybe the problem's you?
Uh, I guess I was so angry, with so much anger,
Mm.
frustrated, that perhaps people were afraid of me, actually.
Okay. Which is hard to imagine as I see you smiling now, but sounds like you were a very different person.
I see myself now, and yes, I see another person. So a very frustrated,
Mm.
full of anger, and yeah, so it was not me at all, at all. So all this negativity, all the frustration, all the anger just brought more chaos to my life, right? So I was just attracting more and more and more of these things. So I realized this today, right? So after you look at it, oh my gosh, I was the one calling
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
right? So, and also complaining a lot. So this was also another thing. So, and for you to have an idea, I was feeling like a foreigner in my own country.
Okay.
So this was another thing. I was feeling alone and I was feeling literally not belonging to anything,
Huh.
nothing at all. So I was living in my own little crazy bubble
It sounds like it.
and complaining about everything. That was pretty much it. That was my day. So, and because this was just not enough, by the end of that year, my best friend committed suicide.
Oh my God.
Yes. So,
Whoa.
the previous night, after chatting with her, in less than 10 hours, I received the news.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so this was what I call today one of the biggest turning points in my life. And obviously, I took some time off from work after this. I've spent most of my time alone and just thinking about everything, basically everything what was going on around this. And what I found was that my life was going in circles.
Hmm.
So repetitive circles. My bosses, they would just change their names.
Okay.
My partners, boyfriends, they would just change their names.
So you
So
were, what you're saying is you were repeating these same situations. You get a new job, you'd have the same problem. A new partner, same problems.
same
So
and same.
taking that time off gave you a little bit of distance to kind of look over your life, take inventory.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this time off was, I guess, what I needed since everything was just chaotic.
Yeah.
So and this gave me the opportunity to see this, to
Yeah.
finally see this, what is going on. And then I saw all of this and I said, wow, I have to do something, because from here into what's next, come on.
So what did you do? How did you get out of it? How did you break the cycle?
Yes, so do you remember that feeling here that I was talking about this?
Yeah.
So this feeling back then was like even more intense. It was just like an explosion. It was just deep, intense. So it was something that said, okay, I have to do something. I'm moving. I need to move countries. I need to do something.
Yeah.
So, so I started looking for job opportunities abroad. And what I found was, instead of job, I found love
I love it. Okay.
abroad.
But do you
Abroad,
think you
okay?
were like mentally ready for that? But anyway, okay. So
Yeah.
so where did you
So,
go? This is when you went to Singapore, yes?
yes, this was when I went to Singapore. So, in less than 6 months, I was already in Singapore. I moved to Singapore from Paraguay to Singapore. And there, I couldn't work as a pharmacist,
Oh, yeah.
right? So after numerous jobs interviews and failed jobs interviews, I should say this, I said one day, well, how on earth will I live in one of the most expensive countries of the world without a job? impossible. And obviously, I didn't like the idea of going back to Paraguay. So one day I was just hopeless, feeling so tired, and yeah, so was the job hunting was so difficult, and I didn't go anywhere. I was at zero again. So again, I was there, and I looked into this heart, and I said, okay, there must be something that I know how to do, is on me, and I can do it right away. So the word that came to my mind was Spanish.
Okay. Right. Well, because that's what we expats do. A lot of us will move to a new country and we teach our language of origin, right?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, so then I started to teach Spanish and Portuguese in Singapore. So in less than 3 months, I was full of students.
Hmm.
In after a year, I've worked for the Singapore government, for big oil companies, for banks, that they used to hire me to teach Spanish or Portuguese to the employees that's supposed to be relocated to South America. So for what I can tell you is that those 2 years in Singapore and that decision that I've made based on this was one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
You know what I love about that is what resilience is. One of the top 10 traits of resilience is adaptability. And so by going in and like tuning into your heart, going through, what am I good at? What natural talents do I have that I can use? And that flexibility. Because if you were so attached to, no, I've trained to be a pharmacist, I need to be working in that, then you would have probably, broken down or had to go back home. But
Yeah.
being resilient is about being flexible and adaptable and being resourceful, which reminds me of, him as well, Rob Goddard.
Oh, yeah.
You met Rob at our event, and I recently did an interview with him. And of course, now he has built this multi-million-pound company, but he was at rock bottom. And I don't know if you know this, Delia, but
Mm.
after he attempted suicide and was not successful, he also had to like dig deep and find this hope to keep moving forward. And he also taught English as a second
Oh,
language
I didn't know that.
as he was like building back up. I mean, you wouldn't believe it now because it's like he has this amazing, portfolio and he's helping people sell their companies. But the thing I love about the story as well is one is it's a matter of survival and it's a matter of being adaptable and resilient. But the second piece of it is you did it because you wanted to stay in Singapore because you found love. And in Rob's case, that's how he met Christina, his current partner. They
There you
met.
go, guys.
So sometimes I guess the reason why I'm focusing on this is because right now in 2020, we're all like, we've gone through this grasping, trying to hold on to stuff.
Yeah.
And some people have tried to create things, and it can make you feel really, really hopeless. But sometimes a matter of being resilient means just being able to get through this next step until that next, lily pad appears for you. And that's literally what I feel like many of us are doing. We're just sort of, we need to like recognize that the uncertainty, we're not going to make it go away. The chaos, it's not going away. So what we need to do is really focus on what we can do internally, looking for our own resources.
Exactly. And another thing, I guess, is as a little understand your why.
So tell me
Because
about that. Your why, you mean your motivation. Like what is motivating you to
yes,
to keep going or to find this
so
new thing?
once I understood why I wanted to teach, for example. So teaching was something I've always done, even as a pharmacist, as a biochemist, Spanish, Portuguese, and now I keep teaching. So once um, you link to this talent that is so yours, that is your essence. It's like the subjects can change, but you still teaching, right? And I know all of you all have this one thing that is just is unique, is yours, is no matter what, and you are the best at it.
Yeah.
Right? So just if you find that and you attach to it, this will take you anywhere.
Yeah.
And this will be the reason, the why, the motivation to take you to the next level. Right?
Yeah.
It's your case as well, right, Dr. Andrea?
Absolutely. I feel like it starts with that. Like you, I have reinvented myself, rebranded myself many, many times over. I think the difference is, well, if I go back to the first reinvention story, you and I'm sure we'll share more as we continue to talk live. For those of you watching, type into the chat if you've had to reinvent yourself and if you've had to do something in the short term that you might not have wanted to, or you did it out of necessity, but it turned into being a blessing for you. So for me, I grew up in the performing arts. That was like being on camera and being on stage, being on the mic. That feels like home to me. And when I went off to medical school, that satisfied my nerdiness. But coming out of med school, I missed that. I missed the creativity. And so I was quite blessed to get picked up by the Discovery Channel and to start anchoring the news. I had my own show. I became the spokesperson for the network and was doing documentaries. But over a period of time, I realized I was just playing a role, which is what I had to do. I was a newscaster. I was a host. And so, and at that time, they wanted me to look a certain way, and I had to run my talking points by someone. So there came a moment where I was just like, this is not fulfilling. And as, if you can think back to the year 2002, this was a moment where many more clinical studies were coming out showing that we as individuals have so much more power over our health and well-being. We have more power than doctors and pills and even surgery. And by that, I mean, if we take control of our nutrition, if we take control of our fitness, if we manage our stress, even supplements. I was reading like all these studies coming out about supplements and all these things. And when I wanted to report it on the news, they were like, no, that sounds weird. That sounds all California, right? And so there got to be this moment where I was like, this doesn't fit. This is not satisfying me personally or professionally because I felt out of integrity. I was not aligned with what I believe to be authentically me. I mean, like you, I'm a teacher. I want to share. I want to give people the best information possible. And I ended up, many of you know the story, you've seen the TED Talk. It took me a while to make that break from the medical establishment. But when I was finally moved to the south of France, unplugged from the media, there was this morning, and I know you know this story, Delia, but there was this morning when I was sitting in meditation, living my peaceful life, and I started to feel that rumbling, that dis-ease, that unrest that you were feeling. And for me, it was like, I wanted to get back on stage. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to produce. And at first, because I had had my spiritual awakening, at first I was like, oh, that's my ego. Oh, that must be all ego. What, you miss being a superstar? You miss being on TV? And I started to second guess it. I started to doubt it. And I tried to suppress it. I tried to just shut it off. But every time, like you said, tuning into the heart, every time I went back into meditation, it would keep bubbling up. And it was this thing that was like, no, Andrea, you need to be back in the scene, back on stage, back on TV, sharing. And I didn't know what was going to start coming through me, but I trusted it. And lo and behold, I ended up being invited to teach at the University of Monaco. So I ended up teaching 3 different courses and helping the students with meditation, understanding corporate brand management, like all this stuff. And lo and behold, I got this phone call from one of our MBA grads saying that they had just gotten a license to do a TEDx. And that was when I was like, that's it. This is what I've been praying for. This is what I've been manifesting. And that was what allowed me to kind of step back on the scene and share from my heart. And so for some people, they know my TV career in America, was rocking and having this wellness center and the books. So to go from that to being a university professor, like some people were like, what are you really doing? But you know what? It was a stepping stone. It was allowing me to get tuned back into what I love, like sharing truth, like empowering people. And that has led me to kind of have that confidence again. That was years ago, but it led me to have that confidence to step up on the stage, to share my truth. And then it has blossomed into a whole new career. It's why I met you. It's why I met all these beautiful people. I see Margareta, Ofkia, Donna, Catherine. So like all these people who are tuning in, thank you for being here. But I wouldn't have met you all if I didn't trust my heart. And so, Delia and I are going to be sharing some more, and I'd love to hear from you all. Like, what are you tuning into as we're getting close to fall of 2020? And are you willing to tune in and to admit that you're feeling this desire to do something, to reinvent yourself, to create something, even though it looks chaotic around you? Is there anyone else out here who are feeling that?
Yes, we want to hear about you. Not just us. I hope it's not just us.
I'm sure it's not, because I've been talking to people, and I know there are more of you. So Delia and I are hosting 4 masterclasses totally for free, because one of the things that you'll hear this in maybe our next live discussion, Delia went through another couple of reinventions and has been working, teaching people and coaching people to understand how to tune into themselves, understanding the laws of the universe, including the law of attraction, and then being able to guide them through a process of reinvention. So I want to pull that out of her and let her share that story as well. So we'll come on here live again next week, and then in October we're going to do 4 live masterclasses so that you can also ask questions, and we can together kind of coach you through what we consider a holistic mind, body, soul approach to reinventing yourself.
Yes, and guys, this is all about, just like Dr. Andrea said, is mind, body, and soul. None of them are separate of anything. We are multidimensional beings. We need this. It's not just one thing. And just think about it. It's just what happens if you just take care of your mind, but you're not taking care of your body? Or what happens if you want to reinvent yourself, but your body, your physical body, is not allowing you to do so, to give that, that eagerness, that energy. So here you have all of that, but physically you're not there.
Yeah.
So with amazing Dr. Andrea and all her knowledge on nutrition and so her medical background, we came up with this, and really hope you all be there for this.
Absolutely. Because I think no matter what, we're all going to look back on 2020 and shake our heads. But what if we actually chose to use this last little push before we go into like the winter hibernation? What if we actually use this time to tune into the mind and the heart, to really figure out, like, if I were going to use this as my time in a cave and level up, if I were going to tune into that superhero archetype, if I were going to start a new business or start a relationship or really do some personal rehabilitation, what would that next version of me look like? Again, not being fake, but really leveling up in alignment with your values, your personality, with what you really want to achieve most in life. Because I feel like it would be very easy for us to just say, okay, I'm just going to numb out. Let me get to 2021. Pull me across the finish line. But I think that we are so resilient, and talking to so
Yeah,
many
we
of
are.
you and hearing the things that have been reawakened, we just
Yes.
want to support you in bringing more of that out. So thank you all for
Yes.
being here.
Thank you so much. This is so good. I would love to see and read your questions and your insights and your stories. Why not?
Yeah, so hit us up if you have a reinvention story. You can send me an email or comment below. I'm
Mhm.
grateful that you all have been here. So we will tune in again next week. Um, you know me, I pop on here and there live. But Delia and is it next Thursday? Are we doing this again on Thursday?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So Thursday is the new day. Like, this is a bonus, guys, because I don't usually go live on Thursdays. So
Hey, Reinvention Thursdays.
that's nice. Perfect. Delia, thank you so much for teaming up with me on this and giving so generously of your time. I can't wait till we can start really getting into the
Why not?
stuff that sounds woo-woo, like law of attraction and laws of the universe, but you make it so practical. And hearing about the success stories you've had with your clients, I think it's really going to be beneficial for our tribe. So thank you.
Amazing. Thanks to you, Dr. Andrea, for this amazing opportunity. Thank you all. See you next week.
Yes, so everyone, have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, remember, you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love, everyone. Besos. Bisous.